Ladies and gentlemen, I like to stick to politics and all manner of stupid emanating from that world. It's government after all, so unless the narcissism of a certain big-booty Latina suddenly turns toxic and devours her like a mushroom cloud, I'm certainly not going to be lacking material anytime soon. However, even I must poke my head out once in a while and sample the stupid from other realms of society. Notably, this abomination that Amazon decided to crank out with all the effort of a half-cocked midwinter wank. Now, for obvious reasons, them being I like Lord of the Rings, good acting, less CGI, and respect for original source material, I shan't hate myself enough to watch the latest woking corruption, and therefore I shall revert to other leisurely activities, like brewing coffee and testing which whiskey proves to be the most effective memory-erasing elixir. And so enters peak first world problems from the island of Ireland. Rings of Power, the new hobbits are filthy, hungry simpletons with stage Irish accents. That's $1 billion well spent. Coming from an Irishman, looking at what you lot constructed in the middle of O'Connell Street, you are the last person on God's green earth to comment on how anyone else should spend their money. The Rings of Power, Prime Video's much-anticipated Lord of the Rings spin-off works, fails, rather, at recapturing the magic of Peter Jackson's movies. But, for Irish viewers, the $1 billion series evokes less welcome memories. It features a race of simpleton proto-hobbits, rosy of cheek, slathered in muck, wearing twigs in their hair and speaking in stage Irish accents that make the cast of Wild Mountain Thyme sound like Daniel Day-Lewis. 20 minutes in, I am having flashbacks to that 1997 East Enders episode with the fighting villagers and donkeys walking the streets. The Lord of the Rings of Power, away with your shilling, takes place centuries before the original Lord of the Rings, and the Harfoots are ancestors of the Hobbits. If they don't quite keep livestock in the living room, they are otherwise a laundry list of 19th century hypernophobic caricatures. Okay, this is where I get annoyed. What does Bilbo say about the Hobbits in the Fellowship? Not renowned as great warriors, nor counted among the very wise. Only real passion is for food, but have taken a keen interest in the brewing of ales and the smoking of pipeweed. But what they really love is peace and quiet, for all hobbits share a love of things that grow. If it takes place centuries before the Fellowship, being ancestors of the hobbits, why would they be even as advanced as the folks of the Shire? The accents embark on a wild journey from Donegal to Kerry and then stop off in inner-city Dublin. The Harfoots themselves are twee and gillis and say things like, "Put ye back into it, lads." One is portrayed by Lenny Henry, a great comedian and actor who deserves better than having to deliver lines such as, "De both of ye, dis does not bode well," in an appalling Irish accent. Scouring the internet, there is no evidence of any Irish actors having been involved. Yeah, there's no fucking evidence of black dwarves in the original source material either, but you fucking bitch there are no Irish actors in An Englishman's Tale. Does this moron realize how fucking stupid this sounds? Ooh, I'm bitching that these caricatures sound Irish. At least get an Irish actor to play the fucking peasants that aren't actually fucking Irish! Oh, my lord. The portrayal of Irish characters as pre-industrial and childlike simpletons really threads into the Anglophile's rich tapestry of disdain for Celtic peoples. It brings us all the way back to the 70s, the 1870s. Oh, is this what you meant by unwelcome memories, is it? Harkening back 2 centuries ago to a time no fucking Irish person alive has ever experienced. My lord, this is insufferably stupid. The Scots get it too in the Rings of Power. Standing for the dwarves, they are portrayed as aggressive and argumentative. Have you met the Scots? Not to mention Gimli said, "I spit on your graves, damn stubborn elves." Very diplomatic. This all tracks with Tolkien's disdain for Celtic culture. They have bright colours, he said, of Irish and Welsh mythology, but are like a broken stained glass window reassembled without design. Spoken like a proper Englishman. But if you know Tolkien's writing has a disdain for Celtic culture, why the hell are you watching it then? My word, if I didn't know any better, I would say you were just looking for a reason to bitch. Perhaps he protested too much. Many scholars today draw a line between Tolkien's elves, willowy immortals from across the sea, and the Irish name I won't butcher, a semi-divine race immune to sickness or age. The parallels between the Irish mythology figure Balor of the Evil Eye and Sauron, the flaming red iris of Barad-dûr, are similarly obvious. And Tolkien's great romantic tragedy, Beren and Luthien, which was inspired in part by the author's own romance with his wife, Edith Bratt, carries echoes of the old Gaelic epic, The Pursuit of More Gaelic Bollocks. So if anyone should sound Irish, it is the elves. Oh, why? How the hell does that make any sense? Because you think these stories share traits with Celtic lore, the highest class of race in this fictional world created by an Englishman, must sound Irish because somehow the origin of the stories must have some influence on a fictional race accent set centuries ago. They even have a high king instead, and of course, these noble sophisticates have upper-class English accents. That's what it's really all about. It's just some miserable Irish yob with an itchy bollock going over old wounds against England. Who wrote this shit? Ed Power, you're pathetic. Only a total loser would see fit to have a gripe with the English past via an American-made TV show over their wokeified arse production of An Englishman's Tale. This peak first world problems. The English accent makes sense, seeing as they had an aristocratic government. The British had an empire that conquered the whole damn world. England has earned the right to have their accent portrayed as royalty. God save the king. The grubbier humans sound like Lancashire mill workers, not as cultured as the elves, but a long way ahead of the half-foots in the pecking order. Somehow the Victorian caste system has been smuggled into a 21st century American fantasy series. Yeah, because the story isn't set in the 21st century, it's set in a feudal age, you stupid asshole! Oh my god, by the way, I know this man's ass-backward opinion thankfully doesn't represent most Irish. I know quite a few Irish people who wouldn't give a flying toss about any of this shit, and would think this man's pettiness is a ridiculous embarrassment. What kind of a miserable soy boy watches a fantasy story set in centuries past and then feels the need to bitch about their preferred modern-day interpretation to the whole world? Your life sucks. Does anyone remember a time when you could just sit down and watch something and get lost in a fantasy story that did not fucking peddle endless woke garbage, where you didn't get lectured by a cast of innate morons whose writing would be bested by piss-soaked drunk who would scribble on a toilet stall, where the CGI didn't look like a concoction of kerosene and Crayola? I miss those days. Anyway, that is all the rage I can muster for one video, so that's all for today, and I will see you all next time.